my kitchen. Now this is the last video of 2017 and I really wanted to share with you how I cover my cakes. So whether you call it icing, fondant or sugar paste, I'm going to show you how to get those smooth sides and that sharp edge. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do before I actually cover the cakes in icing is prepare the cakes. So I've got two 6-inch vanilla cakes here and I'm just going to level these off. So I've got my serrated knife and just cut the top. And then do the exact same to the other one. Okay, so there I have my two halves. Now I'm actually going to cut these into 2 more slices so that we have 4 different layers. Okay, so the equipment that I've got to actually cover my cake, I've got a non-slip mat here and I've just placed my turntable on top of that. I've then got a drum board here just to prepare the cake. I've then got some offset spatulas and this scraping tool for just working on the sides. And I've also got a piece of parchment paper and a really small spirit level. And lastly, I've made a batch of white chocolate ganache. Now you can fill and cover your cake with ganache or you can fill it with buttercream. It's exactly the same method. So first of all, I'm just going to bring in one of my cakes and just take that second layer off. And then just going to fill the inside with a thin layer of the white chocolate ganache. And then place that second layer on top and then going to fill it with some more ganache. Now, if you were working with buttercream, you may want to create a dam around the edge of the cake so that none of the buttercream spills out. Because I'm using ganache and it will set a little bit harder, then it's absolutely fine. So I'm just going to place top of the cake on there. And this is the point that I want to check that the cake is level. Now, this is really important if you're going to be stacking your cakes. So I'm just going to take the piece of parchment paper and place that on the top. And then take my small spirit level and just place that on at different angles, just pushing down the cake so it's completely level. So now I'm going to add a crumb coat to the cake. So I'm just going to work my way around, just flattening out that chocolate ganache that is already on there. And add in some more. Now I'm going to use my metal scraper to scrape the ganache around the side of the cake. Now what you want to do is, using the bottom edge of the scraper, is just put that against the drum board that we're using, and this is going to create a 90-degree angle to the cake, which is going to give you those straight sides. So I'm just going to work that ganache around the entire edge of the cakes. So now I've got the crumb coating on the outside, I'm just going to work on the top. So any excess ganache that is just tipping over, I'm just going to pull in with my spatula. So all your crumb coat is just a first layer, which is just going to lock in any loose crumbs that are present on the cake. So now I've got that first crumb coating added, I'm going to pop this in the fridge just to set slightly before we add our second layer. Okay, so the cake has been in the fridge for around 10 minutes and the ganache has gone quite solid. So we're going to put the second layer of ganache around the cake. So this layer is really important, and this is the layer that your icing or fondant is going to sit on. So we want to make this as smooth as possible so that we've got a good base. So I'm just going to work this ganache around the cake, making sure that I keep the scraper on the board to create those right angles against the cake. Okay, so when working around the side of the cake, if you do have any areas that haven't got any ganache in there, you just want to make sure that it's completely smooth and you're not missing any areas. So very much the same as before, we just want to create those really sharp edges. So I'm going to put some more ganache over there and we're going to level this off. Now different people use different methods. This is just the method that I use and always have used. So I'm just adding some more of the ganache onto that, and it doesn't matter if it slightly spills over the edge. We can work our scraper tool around and just pick up any excess. Now, just like when we first stack this cake, we want the top as level as possible. So I'm going to take my piece of parchment paper again and just lay that on the top of the cake. I'm then going to use my small spirit level and just check that where we've been putting the ganache, it's completely level all the way around. Okay, so once you've covered your cake completely in your ganache or your buttercream and you're completely happy with how smooth and how level it is, I'm just going to pop that back in the fridge for 10 more minutes just before we cover it in the icing. Okay, so now that our cake has been covered in the ganache, we are now ready to cover the cake in icing. So what I have here is just 1 kilo of icing, which I've just coloured in a really light Wilton pink. I've then got some corn flour for dusting, my long rolling pin, a pizza cutter just to trim off the excess, my 2 plastic paddle smoothers, a small tape measure, you may need a tiny pin, and I've also got my 2 flexi smoothers. Now you could just cut 2 rectangles out of acetate, but these are the Squire's Kitchen Bellissimo flexi smoothers in size medium. Okay, so I also have my cake, which I've taken out the fridge, and the ganache has gone quite solid. So all I'm going to do is, just to make it tacky for the icing to stick to, is I've just got some boiling water here, which I have put my spatula in, and I'm going to shake off any excess water because we don't want to add any water to the cake. But I'm just going to run my hot spatula over the top of the ganache, and this is just going to heat it up slightly and make it a tiny bit tacky. So I'm also going to make sure I go around the sides and, very importantly, this edge. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is actually take my small tape measure. Now what I want to do with this is just work out how big I need my icing to be. So this cake is around 4 inches in height, 6 inches across, and then 4 inches down that side. So I know that I need to roll the icing out about 14 inches in a circle so that it will completely go down each of the edges. So I'm going to dust my side just with some corn flour to stop that icing sticking. Now you want to make sure that your icing has been thoroughly kneaded so that it's very pliable. Okay, so now I've rolled out my icing and just check that it's over 14 centimeters in diameter, so we know that it's going to fit over the cake. I then like to take one of my plastic paddles and just work that over the icing just to get out any marks that have been created with the rolling pin. I'm going to take my rolling pin and just fold that over and just pop that out the way while I bring my cake back in. So all I'm going to do is just drape that icing over the top of the cake and make sure that the first thing that I do is just push on the top and push around that top edge so that the weight of the icing doesn't pull the icing down and make it rip. Now the next thing I want to do is make the icing stick to the side of the cake. So I'm just going to pull the icing away from the cake and with an upward motion just push that icing onto the cake. Now I'm going to work my way all the way around. Now the reason that I'm using kind of an upward stroking motion rather than just pulling down on the icing is you don't want to put any more pressure on this top rib, because that's where we want to use this icing to bring it together to create a really sharp edge at the top. So the more icing that you pull down away from that edge, the more chance you've got of it ripping. And once we've gone around the whole of the cake, we just want to make sure that that bottom is smoothed right against the board. And then what I'm going to do is just take my pizza cutter and just run this around the bottom edge of the cake. And then with the excess, I'm just going to take that away. Okay, so we can now start to smooth this cake. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take my 2 plastic smoothers and starting on one of the edges, I'm just going to work my way around the cake, just going up and down. Now all this up and down motion is doing is you're just smoothing the icing out and just pulling it down so it goes all the way to the bottom of the cake and just bringing it up so that we've got enough to create a nice smooth point with. And once you've gone all the way around the cake, I'm then going to start just smoothing the sides. And while smoothing your cake, if you come across any air bubbles in the cake, all you want to do is just take your pin and just lightly pierce those, and then smooth that over with your paddle smoother. So once we've done the side, I'm now just going to work on the top. So I'm going to place the smoother in the center of the cake and just work my way out. And all this is doing is just pushing some of the icing to that edge so that we've got enough to create that sharp edge. Okay, so I'm going to use the smoothers together now. So I'm going to put one up against the side of the cake, and where I've got the straight side, I'm just going to put that up against that one. And then just going to work my way around the cake, just doing a very small piece at a time. Okay, so I've worked the two paddle smoothers around the side of the cake, and I am almost happy with how that is looking. So I'm going to put these to one side and bring in the flexible smoothers. Now the reason that I like to use the hard smoothers first and not go straight in with the flexible ones is that the hard ones allow you to keep that right angle, whereas the flexible ones allow you to kind of push into the cake more. So now I'm going to go in with the flexible ones to really go in and create that sharp edge. So I'm going to use the rectangle one just on the side and the one that has the curved edge on the top, and then just applying a small amount of pressure, just really push into that corner. Okay, so once you've finished with those flexi smoothers, I'm just going to go around once more with the paddle smoother just to make sure that there's no kind of finger dents that have been created. And there we have that really neat edge. You can now transfer your cake onto the board that you're going to decorate or onto your cake stand. So there we have the final covered cake, which is ready to be decorated. I really hope that you enjoyed this video tutorial and will find it useful when covering your own cakes. If you have, then don't forget to give this video a like, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, then please click subscribe. Also, next to the subscribe button, you've got the notification button. So if you click this, you'll be notified every time a new video goes up. Also, I just want to thank everybody who has watched my videos and subscribed to my channel this year, and I can't wait to share more videos with you in 2018. Bye!